You got official unemployed, and then you got what?
Actual employee.
What's the difference between official and actual? What does official mean with the government? That means the paperwork has been done. That means they're drawing what?
Social Security.
Unemployment. These people are drawing unemployment. Because they're official, that means they've done what?
Worked,
The paperwork. They've done the paperwork.
and they have worked.
Yeah.
Be entitled to that.
These people, they just ain't working. So you can get your numbers there, both of these. So take 9 million plus 17 million, that's 26 million, right? Now, take 26 million and divide by, what was it, 221 million? Do that, what you get?
0.117 over 118.
Oh my gosh, that's 12%. Does anybody know what the unemployment rate was during the recession?
Which one?
It was about 10%. Wait a minute, Hubert, you said a while ago it was 4%. It depended on what number I used. So when you see a unemployment number on the news and they say jumped from 10% during the recession to 4%, which one are they using? They're using the official. But if you count both of them, which are all unemployed, it comes out to be 12%. You got to watch. You got to be informed, and you got to educate yourself. One way to do that is through this guy.
Yeah, I like this. It's pretty
A
cool.
lot of people didn't even know this existed until today. I think it should be on every exit exam. I think you should be able to read an example of this and know where it is and know what it means before you exit high school.
They're not doing it next week.
But it's not on the test, so it doesn't matter. Huh?
So it's all about the Pythagorean theorem. You gotta know in the
Yeah, when to use the
periodic table,
calculator.
man. You gotta know that periodic table.
Look down here. And you can switch this over to, let's switch this over and see how our leadership in South Carolina is doing.
Yeah, let's see it.
Dang old South Carolina. Dang old.
Food stamps.
Looks about right.
That's good.
Debt to GDP. What is that? What is the debt to GDP ratio?
GDP is gross debt product or something. I don't know. It's gross something.
That's positive, so that's negative.
There you
All right, now we've got
Food
4 million, or close to 5 million in South Carolina.
Okay,
And there's our unemployment rate.
it's not bad.
Or so you'd have to find the employed before, I don't know if you could click on that or not. I don't know, you'd have to expand this. I'm not up on this, so I don't know if you can expand this anymore or what. I'm looking to see what here's our debt, which is 42 billion. I don't know what it was. I don't know if you can go back. No, you can't go back. I was going to say, it's not as detailed as the USDA clock. But debt per citizen, each one of us owes $9,000 to the state. So I don't know if this population is workers. I don't know if this population is everybody. I don't know. It doesn't say, so I don't know.
What is that down at the bottom, the gold and precious metals? What does that mean?
That's what our state do.
How it's trading, I guess, or how much we have.
This is world.
I don't know.
It is.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's something that y'all need to look at because, and that's something that we're going to learn more about. Why is this so important? It's important because in the last section of this chapter, we're going to be talking about income taxes. and how income taxes are figured. And a lot of people think that it's complicated. It's not. It's not really complicated at all. And how you end up paying, or how you end up owing, or the government owes you, or you owe the government at the end of the tax year. And that's where this is going. See this where this says U.S. federal tax revenue? When you pay $200 in taxes to the government, that's where it goes. Or whatever your income tax is that you have to pay. If you've already given that much with all your taxes that you give, then they owe you. And that's how that works. So you can play with this all you want. And that's that. Wait till we get to interest. Just wait. So how much is a latte?
$4.
Is it $5? It says $5. With tax and tip.
Okay, you got it.
A tip? So how many of you can afford a $5 drink every morning? I can't. But there's people that get them every morning. Champagne taste? That's beer budget. I ain't on no beer budget. Okay, how much you make? I don't know. Okay, whatever. Now that's simple interest. This is not what we're going to be doing, but simple interest. $1,100 on her charge card, 24%, which bills at a rate of 2% per month. And they give it to you right there how to do it. And at the end of the year, you pay $264 interest. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this one because that ain't the one we're going to be doing. We're going to get to that. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on budget because we're not going to do too much of a budget. So I'm going to skip that area. Because I think you have to know your own, your own situation before you can do a budget. I'll tell you what's important when we get there.
Did you ever read like Dave Ramsey stuff?
I don't read.
Things like this.
What?
Did you ever go through like Dave Ramsey stuff and all that? During your
Yeah,
time
he
you were dead?
makes a lot of
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah, he does.
If people would listen to people like him more.
That's what I went through and started reading all that stuff. But it was crazy, man. He was like $200,000 in debt. Today he was like $55-60 million.
Okay, here we go. Now we're talking about something important. Power of compounding. This is section B. All right, compound interest. Let me talk about compound interest and why it's very important. Compound interest is what the banks do, basically. Simple interest is when you, like, I'll give you an example of simple interest. Simple interest, and I'm going to put out here. I know y'all can't read that. I don't know what's up with this thing. Guess I have to write like a first grader. Still don't like it.
Friend.
Okay? I like to tell students that simple interest is what you would do for a friend or a family member. Okay? In other words, let's say that this happened to my, well, I didn't charge my dad. Me and my sister didn't charge my dad simple interest, but there was one day that my dad was very, what do you call it, big-hearted. And whenever somebody was in trouble, he'd try to help them. And he sold this lot to this girl because she was getting a divorce and got beat up by her husband 5,000 or 6,000 times. And my dad sold her a lot, put a mobile home so she could live there. Well, 2 or 3 years, went down the road, and she wanted to sell the lot. She just came up one day and told my dad, said, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do this, and I really wanna sell this lot. And I wanted to let you know before I put it, tell my brother-in-law or brother or whatever she was gonna do, she was gonna tell them later, on that afternoon. My dad wanted to hurry up and get the lot back because, we wanted to keep it on the farm. So he was a little bit strapped for money, so he called me and my sister and told us that we can get that lot back, blah, blah, blah. Well, we got the money, between me and my sister, we got the money and we bought the lot back. Okay, now, if that had been another situation, like with a distant relative or friend, you might have charged that person simple interest. And let's say it's $5,000. But you let that person borrow $5,000 till the end of the year, let's say for a year. Now, a lot of people say, well, you're not going to charge them for, well, think about it. Just think about this from a business standpoint. Where is that $5,000 pretty much? It's not in a jar buried in your backyard, is it? Where is it? It's in the bank. So what is it doing for you? It's making you money, isn't it? Because it's either in a savings account or a CD or a money market or whatever, invested in stocks or whatever, and it's bringing in a little bit of return. So if you take that money out and give it to somebody, that's basically not only taking the $5,000 out of your pocket, it's also taking the what?
Interest.
The interest that you could make on it. So you need to be able, it's just business, okay? Nothing personal, just business. So let's say the bank has this in a savings account at 3%, compounded, blah, 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 all right? Well, that means that you're making money off this $5,000. So you need to charge your friend or your cousin or whatever the case may be some kind of interest, but you don't want to go through the compounding and do it every month and all that. So you just say simple interest, and you say at 6% simple interest. For 1 year.
Why 6%?
Because compounded interest is going to be compounded every month.
Oh, I
Okay?
see.
I just put 6% on there because I'm not going to compound it every month. I'm just going to put a simple
That's
interest.
actually 6% less than 3.
You don't,
compound.
I don't know.
It's double, but you.
We would have to
gotta
see.
do it each time.
And we can do that next. That's what I was going to do, but y'all taking thunder away from me.
Sorry.
Can I be in charge for a while?
You're a lord.
Okay? All right, so for 1 year. So basically you say, George, this time next year I want you to pay me interest with the $5,000. I want you to pay me with 6% interest and the $5,000 next March, by the end of next March. Okay, and y'all shake hands and y'all write a little contract up. And you get somebody to witness it and y'all sign it. Notary public stamped. And that would be $5,000. The Walmart equation, as I tell my students, the X plus percentage X is equal to the total. It's what we use for taxes when you go into Walmart. You take your price and you multiply it times the taxes and then you add it back to the price. That's the Walmart equation. So, 5,000 plus 6%
You're letting them off.
of 5,000 is equal to, somebody tell me what that comes out to be. Well, let's do it in our head because we don't want to be on the calculator drill team. So we're going to do, what's 10% of 5,000? 500. So what would 1% be? 50. And what's 50 times 6?
300.
300. So at the end of a year, George gives you what?
530, yep.
5,300 back. And that's simple interest. Now, of course, you don't have to do 6%. You could have done
3%.
5%, 3%.
3%
Okay?
each month.
3% would not be the same as 3% compounding. Okay? So that's why I just stuck 6% on there. And I remember my dad selling a lot to my dad bought a bunch of lots across the creek. It was all bottom land, but there was a bunch of subdivision lots. So my dad, one of the neighbors over there wanted to buy one of the lots because it was right beside the lot, so he didn't want it. So he sold it to him at 6% interest at the end of 5 years. And the guy said, well, can I just take that $6,000, I think it was $6,000 or $8,000, I multiplied it by 6%, divided it up into payments for 5 years, and my dad said, yeah. And that's the way he did it. So, let's check to see compounding. How you do compounding. Well, this is the...
There you go.
Did I not hit?
It's gone.
All right, compounded is the P times 1 plus R over N raised to N to the power. P is equal to principal. Principal is what you put into the savings account or what you're borrowing or whatever. R is your rate. N is the number of times compounded. Compounded means how many times it's calculated. How many times the computer will go through and calculate the interest. And then T is the number of years. Okay? So, let's say that 5,000 and the rate is 3%, and number of times it's compounded is monthly, so that would be 12, and 1 year.
$1,500.
How much?
$1,500, I believe.
I don't know. I haven't done it. So let's calculate it. So that would be, I'm just going to put it in the, that'd be 5,000 times 1 plus 0.03 over 12 to the 12th power. So I'm going to take my...
18.
Now, the calculator is real good to use on this because you can actually do it on the calculator without even writing anything down. And I'll show you how to do that because some people don't know how to do it. So I'm going to pull up my handy dandy calculator. And if you got a TI 83 or better, I don't want an 89 because they're cumbersome to work. Here is our TI 83. And first thing you do is you turn it on. And you work your way inside out. And that would be 0.03 divided by what? 12. Add 1. Which that number at a bank will always be around what? 1, because if it was around 2 or 3, the bank would be giving you money, giving money away. Because 2 times 6,000 would be what? 12,000. And that'd be doubling your money. And the bank ain't interested in doing that. So that number will always be around what? 1. Okay? Multiply that, raise that to the 12th power. Still going to be around 1. And then multiply that by what? 5,000. And then add that to 5,000. No, you already did. Sorry. Yeah, it did. I'm sorry. So, I got $5,152.08. So, compounded interest is $5,100. So, what was the other one? How much did we make on the other one?
300.
We made $300 on the simple interest and made $152 on the compounded interest. So yes, we did double our interest by the 6 and the 3. Not all the time does that happen. It depends on how many years you keep it in the bank. This was 1 year, so yes, double. It's going to double at the end of 1 year. All right.
Okay.
Okay? What time's class in? Just want to make sure 11, right? Now that's how you do compound interest versus simple interest. Now there's another interest that uses E, and I don't know if we cover it, but we're going to find out here in just a second. I don't know if this book covers it or not. Let's see, we talked about simple interest, compound interest. There's compound interest. I don't give you the formula for it, I did.
You like this?
I'm trying to find, there's compound interest. Now, look how they write it. I do not, they dummy it down for y'all. I don't like that, all right? A is equal to P, parentheses, 1 plus, this is R over N. Write that down, R over N. This is N times T. I would rather you learn it the way it's supposed to be learned, okay? Not dummy down. All right? So, APR, right? APR is equal to R over N, and Y is equal to N times T. T is equal to years. What if I keep money in for 6 months? What is T? 0.5. Write that down.
Why?
Okay? If I tell you that I keep the money in there for 6 months, T is 0.5. Because T is usually labeled in years. Okay?
Why would it be 0.5 rather than 0.6 if it was 6 months?
Okay, what is 6 months? Half a year. So it'd be 0.5.
I think, never mind.
Huh?
I think there's 12 months in a year, so I would think of it as 6. So, but I get half
No,
of.
T is numbered in years. Okay? It's years. So if I say 6 months, that's what years?
Gotcha, 0.5.
0.5.
On the last one, didn't we do the 12 hour?
Yeah, because the N times T. T was 1 year. N is 12. 12 times
Okay.
1 is 12. Okay? So don't let this throw you off in the book. Just do with the formula that I use. Unless they just give you Y years and tell you, they don't tell you anything else. I mean, just make sure you know both formulas. There's simple and compound. We talked about that.
Right, so you're trying to commit suicide.
What?
Right, trying to commit suicide.
Oh my goodness. Why are we doing that?
All this interest, compound interest and credit card debt and stuff. You
Wait
kill
till
them.
we get to the houses and how much you spend on your house.
Oh, I know.
Till you get your principal. That's at the very end of your loan.
Yeah,
You're not using that word.
and you find out that you spend $200,000 on a $200,000 house at the end of 3 years.
New cars are worse.
Yeah, cars are worse.
Yeah, new cars.
That's
are
why they
worse.
want you to get that payment down. How low can you go on your payment? Because the lower you can go on your payment, that's the more money that we can make off of you.
Go look at my car. I will stay in it till it
Falls
croaks.
apart.
Till it croaks.
Still doing compound.
Thanks.
There we go. Compound interest. Here we go.
6 months.
Paid N times per year. There is your formula for those that are listening. A is equal to P times 1 plus R over N raised to the NT power. There's the formula. They did fix it. They just waited after they dummied it down and now they're giving it to you.
So will N always be 12 or?
No, N could be 4 times a year, which would be quarterly.
Number of compound.
It'll say in the question, it'll say compounded quarterly, every 3 months. It'll say compounded monthly, compounded daily, which is unheard of. Compounded semi-annually. What's semi-annually? Annually. Twice a year. What's annually? Once a year. So N would be 1 if it's annually. N would be 2 if it's semi-annual. For those that are listening and not talking while I'm talking, which is rude, that's warning number 2. Third, I'll ask you to leave. Is that fair? Okay? Now,
Wait, so if it says daily, then what would N be?
daily, how many days are in a year? 365. That's unheard of.
Okay.
They ain't gonna do that. All right? There is another one I want you to see before I let you go today, but I don't think it's called, okay. It's where they use E. There it is, continuous.
Hold on.
Make sure you make a note on continuous. What is the difference between continuous and compounded? Right here. A is equal to the principal times E to the R times T. R times T. R is your rate times your number of years. And instead of typing in the 1 plus R over N, instead of typing that all in, they use E, which is on your calculator right there. Right over the natural log symbol, right there, E. So if you was to do that $5,000, let me do it for you right quick. That'd be 5,000 times, parentheses, section E, and let's see, what was my rate? 3%, 0.03 times, and years, I said how many years? 1. That'd come out, continuous rate would be 5,152. How much was our compounded?
Same thing.
Same thing.
Comes out to be about, well, again, what was my year? 1. So mostly all of them are going to be pretty close, except for me going 6% instead of 3. All right, but usually the continuous and the compound, if the year is the same, they're going to be about the same. Why do they use it? Well, some banks use it just so they don't have to go through the programming in the computer of 1 plus 0.05 over 5. They just stick E in there because it comes out to be about the same thing. Okay?
Could you use that formula for both of them?
No, use it for if they say compounded continuously or
All
compounded.
right.
Okay? Okay. Let me call the roll. Somebody hit my button for me. And then I'll let y'all go.